If you really want to understand how Indian democracy works, you have to look past all the noise of the national debates. You have to go to the ground, to the soil of a single constituency, and just listen. Listen to what the people are saying with their votes. This is an analysis of one such place. It's a study in how a mandate is won, how it's lost, and how, with the right blueprint, it can be earned back. We're focusing on the Tuli Assembly constituency in Nagaland.
Here, right in the heart of Nagaland, politics isn't some distant, abstract thing. No, it's woven into the fabric of everyday life, into a community's identity, into the hopes people have for their children. What happened in Tuli in the last election? Well, it was much more than just a result. It was a message, a really clear message from the people about what they expect, the standards they hold for governance, and about that fundamental bond between a leader and the community they serve.
And this gets us right to the core question, doesn't it? It's the one question that every public servant, every political party, and every aspiring leader has to face, honestly. How is the trust of the people really built? What does it take to keep it? And maybe most importantly, how is it lost? The answers aren't in some grand ideology. They're found in the specific choices and the daily realities of the voter.
So to get the politics, you first have to get the people. And the voters of Tuli are not some passive audience. They are active, deeply engaged participants in their own future. They are profoundly invested in their democratic rights and in the world they're trying to build.
Now get a load of this number, 94.69%. That's just an extraordinary figure, one of the highest voter turnouts anywhere in India. And you know, this isn't just a statistic. It's a powerful statement. It tells us that in Tuli, democracy is a living, breathing force. It tells us every single vote is thought about, it's fought for, and it carries this immense weight of expectation. This is the exact opposite of apathy. This is a community that demands to be heard.
So who are these voters who show up with such conviction? Well, the constituency is predominantly home to the Ao Naga tribes. We're talking about a community with a powerful sense of identity and deep ancestral roots in this land. And their concerns? They're not abstract. They are grounded in the fundamentals of a good life. They're about good roads so they can get to markets. They're about real jobs for their kids. And they're about reliable infrastructure, electricity that stays on and clean water. These are the things that decide elections here.
Okay, so with that context about the people and what matters to them, let's dig into the verdict they delivered. The 2023 election, it wasn't just another political contest. It was a moment of decisive change, a clear, unambiguous signal sent by the voters. Let's break down exactly what went down.
Before we even get into percentages, just focus on this number, 3,029 votes. In a constituency with just over 18,000 voters, that's not a narrow win. It's a significant, commanding margin. It represents a clear and powerful choice from the community. This number, this is the starting point for our whole diagnosis. It's the effect, and now we have to find the cause.
And here you see the final tally. The NDA's BJP candidate, Pangjung Jamir, polled in almost 59% of the vote. This completely flipped a seat that the Naga People's Front, the NPF, had held just 5 years before. Now, the NDP allied candidate got a respectable 41%, but that gap, that margin of over 3,000 votes, you just can't argue with it. So the crucial question we have to answer is, why? Why did this big shift happen?
To understand what's happening now, you always have to look at the past. An election is never just a single event. It's one chapter in a much longer story. So by doing a kind of forensic analysis of the patterns over the last 7 elections, that's 3 decades of political history, we can start to see the deeper currents that led to the 2023 result.
Tuli's political history is, well, it's a roller coaster. Let's just trace the journey. High turnout, like back in '93, that's been the norm here for a long time. The NPF hit its peak vote share in 2003, really establishing itself. But then something interesting happens in 2008. Turnout suddenly drops, and the NPF barely scrapes by with a win. That suggests some enthusiasm was lost. Then in 2013, the voters just rejected the big parties altogether and elected an independent. That tells you something important. They are willing to vote for the person over the party. By 2018, NPF gets the seat back, but a big reason was that the opposition vote was split. And that brings us to 2023, where a united opposition, under the BJP banner, flipped the seat decisively. The pattern here is clear. The people of Tuli are not loyal to any one party. Their vote has to be earned.
And all of this, it really illustrates something fundamental about our democracy. These results, these swings in the mandate over 30 years, they are the ultimate form of public speech. The people are speaking, loud and clear. And it's the duty of any political system and any leader to listen to that speech with respect.
Now, it's easy to point fingers and blame individuals for a loss, but that's rarely the full picture, and frankly, it's not very helpful. A much better way is to diagnose the system itself, the political machine. We're going to analyze the NPF's organization in Tuli using a simple framework of its 4 essential phases. This is about understanding the system, not about personalities.
So let's start with the 2 sides of the party that you can see from the outside. First, the electoral phase. This is its basic ability to get votes. We'd rate this at medium strength. The NPF has a powerful regional identity that really connects with the AO community, but the ability to bring different groups of voters together seems to have weakened. Second, the organizational phase, also medium strength. There's a statewide structure there for sure, but after the 2023 loss, the discipline and energy at the crucial booth level has faded. The foundation is there, but it needs some serious repair work.
Okay, now let's look under the hood, and this is where we find the really critical weaknesses. The narrative phase, that's the story the party tells about the future, is at low strength. The messaging has become scattered. It's missing a clear, simple, and hopeful vision for Chamali that people can really grab onto. And finally, the resource phase, also low. There's a big and growing gap in both money and technology when you compare them to a national party like the BJP. The NPF has passionate volunteers, but that resource gap makes it tough to compete on a level playing field today. Look, a diagnosis is only useful if it leads to a cure, right? So now that we've understood the systemic problems, we're going to pivot from just analyzing to taking action. What comes next isn't theory. It's a clear, time-bound, and actionable blueprint for how trust can be rebuilt and how the people's mandate can be won back. Any comeback story starts with leadership. The ideal candidate to lead this renewal has to have 3 key qualities. First, and this is the big one, trust. That means someone with proven integrity, with deep, authentic local roots in the AWA community. Second, a real welfare orientation. This isn't about empty promises. It's about a clear, practical vision for development that directly hits those core issues of jobs and infrastructure. And third, innovation. The ability to connect with a new generation of voters using modern tools, speaking their language.
And what should this candidate and their team be talking about? The data from the ground is crystal clear. The issues voters care about most are the most fundamental ones. Roads and infrastructure are at the absolute top. Unemployment, especially for young people, is a huge source of anxiety. And the reliability of basic services like electricity and water isn't far behind. A winning campaign has to be laser-focused on these daily realities.
And this is a point we just cannot overstate. For the voter, a potholed road, not having a job, or the power going out, these aren't just data points on a chart. A grievance is not a statistic. It is a daily reality. It's a source of frustration, and it diminishes their quality of life. Any political effort, any campaign, has to start by simply acknowledging that human experience.
So how do you turn all this understanding into an actual win? Here's a practical 4-stage ladder. The first 30 days are for organizing. You select that ideal candidate, you rebuild the teams at every single booth, and you launch listening tours to show real respect for what voters have to say. The next month is for mobilizing. You roll out focused micro-campaigns on those core issues and use simple tools like WhatsApp to spread the word. The third stage is activation. This means intense, systematic, door-to-door conversations countering misinformation with straight facts. And the final 10 days are about gamifying the process, high-energy drives to make sure every single supporter gets out to vote on Election Day.
And as we talk about these modern campaign methods, we have to embed a crucial value into our work. Any strategy that tries to connect with people must, above all else, respect their dignity. Under India's legal frameworks, this includes the fundamental right to privacy. Any voter information that's used has to be protected, used only for its purpose, and always with the clear consent of the individual. Effective politics and ethical politics have to be the same thing.
Ultimately, winning an election is not the finish line. It's just the starting line. The whole point of building this political machine, of analyzing all this data, of crafting this strategy, it's all for one single goal: to deliver effective, people-first governance that actually improves lives, long after the votes are counted.
A political party shouldn't think of itself as a fortress, walled off, defensive, and cut off from the world. It has to be a river. A river is alive, it's always in motion, and it's fed by all the streams that flow into it. In the same way, a healthy political party must be in constant flow with the aspirations, the grievances, and the hopes of the people it wants to serve.
And so this brings us to the end of our analysis. This blueprint, it provides a clear, logical path to winning an election, but it also presents a much deeper challenge. The final question for any leader, in Tuli or anywhere else, isn't just, how do we win? The real question, the one that truly defines a legacy is, how do we become worthy of that win?
If you want to become a people-centric leader and uplift your constituency, get in touch with blueprintstrategies.ai at mgr@blueprintstrategies.ai or call 080-4204-1602. Purpose beyond politics.